do what thou wilt. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 11 of 7 Minutes with the Magus, featuring your host, Omega Logion, Magus of the Aeon of Maat. In this episode, I'm going to talk about the next Holy Book transmission that I received from my Holy Guardian Angel. It's called the Book of Dissolution. About 6 weeks after the beginning of the Aeon of Maat, I received this book, and it's got a few important concepts in it, so I'm going to read a few excerpts from it. It begins. Catalysis is the word of the Aeon. It flows from all directions. So this is the first scriptural announcement of the word of the Aeon, which I had uttered the prior April. Now that the Aeon has actually begun, the word can be formally announced. A later paragraph says, the Aeon of the seven is fire and ballistic and wood and waves. These, of course, are the four elements of Empedocles, just given poetic names, and they're also referring back to the four totems that we talked about in the previous holy book, the crocodile and goat and sphinx and dragon. The Aeon is going to be connected to those four totems, the four directions, the four elements. But what is the Aeon? Aeon is, in an ancient Greek temple, the secret inner chamber. So typically in a Greek temple, you would have the outer area called the pronaos, or before the naos. And then you'd have the main sanctuary of the temple, which was called the naos. And then sometimes you would have an inner chamber called the Aeon, whose name literally means not to be entered. So it's kind of like a holy of holies. And here it's saying the Aeon of the seven is related to these four elements and totems. The sevenness refers to the heptagonal shape of the Aeon, like the vault of the adepts in the Rosicrucian tradition. We'll talk more about that heptagon and Aeon in later episodes. A later paragraph says, from one to one to one, the pickets of the fence continue adding their stars to the firmament. Their two rails take the nails that pair the mirror twins. Thus is the balance achieved for infinity. Well, we know what a picket fence looks like, right? There's a top rail and a bottom rail, and the uprights between it are the pickets. Well, those rails are the mirror twins. This is the analogy I was telling you about before about the ladder and the antigram pairs, right? Those two rails are antigrams, and they're mirror twins because they mirror each other. One has lines that are opposite the other one. The pickets are going one to one to one, each integer one after another to infinity, joining the rails and making them an antigram pair for eternity. They're always going to be paired together by that integer. So this is like a formal announcement of that really important concept in our Kabbalah. Later it talks about the actual beginning of the Aeon, and it says, now this snake releases his venom, and the world staggers from the bite. The antivenin is not at hand. The brow breaks out in sweats, and the body staggers unbalanced. It struggles mightily, but falls like a top when its force is spent. So too with this Aeon. It has come to an end, and the new one is awakened. By the call of the crow that spreads its vulture wings and darkens the sun disk to reveal the moonlight. Then the tender revelations can proceed as the riverbank is flooded with this tempered white light. So this is more of a formal announcement that the Aeon of Horus has expended its force and it has come to an end, just falling over like a top that stops spinning. It also goes on to talk about how the Aeon's beginning was announced. It says, I give you the word of old because its time has come. That's the word catalysis. The fall of the great equinox has arrived. That's the great equinox predicted by the Book of the Law. And the twin stars of the vault are the heralds of its coming. That's Jupiter and Saturn, and making their great conjunction on the solstice. They punctuate the silence. They balance the opposites. They mirror each other. They make the accounts even. And yes, they are sort of mirrors of each other astrologically. Jupiter and Saturn are kind of opposites. And they make the accounts even. They're starting now at a conjunction at 0 degrees Aquarius, beginning a whole new cycle. It also goes on to say there's nothing new in the Aeon. It is all perennial. What changes is the time. So those who are expecting, everything's going to change with the new Aeon, it's like there are some perennial truths that don't change. But what does change is the time that those truths are taking place in. The galaxy slowly spins its pedestal so that all can see from all angles the same glories in sequence. Only when all of them are shown and their seeds sown and their reflections thrown against the walls of the castles, only then will the circuit be complete, though they repeat to infinity like the pickets of the fence that surrounds the garden of the gods. Peer through these to see the statues from any angle you choose. May their beauty bring tears to your eyes. Tears of joy are the universal solvent. They are the means of dissolution. Uncover the truth and discover the joy. Recover the beauty and delight in creation, the outcome of all dissolution. Amen. So ends the Book of Dissolution. So ends this episode, and I hope you will join me for future ones. Until then, don't forget, love is the law.